Welcome to the Weekly Leadership Experience, a place for leaders to get inspired, be challenged, and grow. I am your host, Reshad Oberlander. Let's get started. Today's episode of the Weekly Leadership Experience is brought to you by my 7-day Leadership Growth Challenge. It's a free challenge that I've created, and it's delivered by email over the course of 7 days. I've created 7 compelling questions to challenge various aspects of your leadership, the way you lead, and why you lead. Go to ReshadOberlander.com and scroll down until you find the 7-day leadership challenge, or look for the link in the show notes. And now, on with the show. Well, hello leaders, and welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you here with me today. It's almost Christmas 2020, so next week I will not be doing an episode. I'll be back on January 4th, and I'm looking forward to an exciting year with a lineup of incredible guests and really important topics. It is going to be epic. I'm very excited. I have a number of exciting things lined up, a bunch of things I'm working on for the podcast. Stay tuned. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button on whatever your podcast platform of choice is. I'm pretty much everywhere. You can find it by searching the Weekly Leadership Experience or searching for my name, Reshad Oberlander. But I want to wish you a happy holidays and all the best for the year ahead. If you can believe it, this is episode number 30, and it is a little over 6 months since I launched the Weekly Leadership Experience. If you've been with me from the beginning, thank you so much for your ongoing support. If you're a new listener, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. For everyone listening, would you do me a favor? Would you consider sharing your favorite episode from this year with a few friends? There's 30 now to choose from, and there's some great ones in there. I mean, I think they're all great. It's just my opinion, a little biased, but if you've got a favorite or a couple of favorites, maybe you could put it out there on social media or send it in an email, let someone know about the show. It would really help let more people know about the Weekly Leadership Experience, and it would mean a lot to me if you would do that. So tag me on social media with your favorite episode. Make sure you say why it's your favorite. I'd love to hear from you. So let's get on with today's theme, breaking rocks. So there were 3 people at work on a construction site. All 3 were performing the same task. Each one was asked what their job was, but each answer was different. The first worker said, "I'm breaking rocks." The second worker stated, "I'm earning a living to support my family." The third worker declared, "I'm here to build a cathedral." I don't remember where I heard this story first, but it's always stuck with me. And I see it as a great illustration of perspective. And perspective is what I want to focus on for this episode as we approach 2021. There's no doubt it's been an interesting and challenging year for most of us. It's been tough to handle. There's been a lot of uncertainty. And for some, there have been tragedies. In all honesty, I've struggled to maintain hope and optimism in all these challenges myself. And, realistically, the fight's not over yet. We are still facing restrictions around the world to varying degrees. There's still a lot going on with the pandemic, rollout of a vaccine, to mask or not mask, to vaccinate or not vaccinate. Like there's a whole host of issues still facing the world. But so the fight is not over. But perspective is a powerful tool. Now it will either have you breaking rocks, or it'll have you building a cathedral. And your perspective is the key ingredient in that outcome. Whatever your perspective is, it's not just a point of view. You got to stop thinking of the way I see things, the way you see things, point of view, perspective as just being that and that alone. The way you decide to see your circumstances, your work, and your life will influence your attitude, your behaviors, your commitment, and language about whatever the thing is that you're having a viewpoint on. Consider our illustrious rock breaker. Their perspective is, I'm breaking rocks. As long as the rock breaks, the job is done. It doesn't matter much if it's straight or clean or usable. They broke the rock. I broke the rock. Good. The worker might not take good care of their tools. They might possibly complain a bunch about the work. And, if someone offered them more money to go break rocks somewhere else, they'd probably jump ship. Our cathedral builder, on the other hand, likely takes great pride in clean cuts, nice straight lines, and speaks pridefully about their work. Their work area is clean, well kept, the tools are in good shape. They might get offered a bunch of money to break rocks somewhere else, but there's a good chance that they will want to keep building the cathedral. So I think this serves as a really good illustration of the power of your perspective and the power of the point of view that you have influencing multiple aspects of your life and what you do. These people are doing the same job, but that's where the similarities end. Even our fellow in the middle who is working to provide a living for his family is going to have a higher level of commitment to the work at hand and can more easily move from I'm providing a living for my family. He can move from that to I'm building a cathedral. The guy that's at the bottom just breaking rocks and is just there to collect that paycheck and move on, you're going to have a hard time shifting the perspective from there all the way through to building a cathedral. It can happen, but the road is a lot harder. For you and for me, the challenge is to examine our perspectives in our own lives. And, not everything needs to be about rose-colored glasses or the silver lining or looking on the bright side of things. There is a place for looking at the reality and taking a hard look at what's going on. But even in failure and tragedy, our perspective on the situation plays a huge part in determining how we move forward and how we heal. A lot of times, you read stories about survivors of diseases and cancers and things of that nature and have had horrible tragedy medically or just, personal tragedies. And a lot of times, although it's extremely hard and extremely challenging, afterwards, having hope and having positivity and being able to accept the bad thing as it happened, but shift your perspective and move and allow yourself to heal is sometimes what means the difference between life and death for people. So what I'm saying is that there are opportunities for us to shift our perspectives and to use this tool of perspective to propel our growth. When I worked in the fresh food business, one of my trainers asked my class what it was we did each day. Some answered that they sold food. Some talked about the profitability. Some talked about how they managed teams. Like that was the thing that they did each day, And the trainer suggested that all these answers were fine, but what about saying that your job was to keep customers healthy and alive? Now, bear in mind, this is in the food business, so there's a lot of moving parts in terms of food safety and hygiene and things like that. But, instead of just going, I sell food, I manage this team, we serve burgers or sell vegetables, like whatever the thing is, you shift that perspective to we're keeping customers healthy and alive. Man, there's a whole another level of weight to that. There's a whole level of meaning to that. That is a major shift in perspective from just selling food. You still do all those things, but you have a much loftier ideal in mind when you do it. So, whatever thing that you do, whatever thing that you're facing right now, what is your perspective on it right now? Is it breaking rocks? Are you providing a living? Or are you building a cathedral? And clearly those are metaphors for whatever it is that you're facing right now, but can you look at what you're experiencing right now and consider whether your perspective needs to shift a little bit? And if it were to shift a little bit, would your outcome get better? Would your attitude, behavior, action, language about what you're facing change for the positive? Not to, don't go negative, but can you shift the perspective that you have about whatever it is that you're facing right now for the positive? So, considering the last year, it's been very hard, it's been very challenging, no denying that. 100% on board with that fact. As I mentioned before, I've struggled myself with staying positive and upbeat and not having anxiety about things, but it definitely creeps in, right? But how you choose to move forward and whatever perspective you choose to sit in is going to have a big influence on what you do moving forward. Looking ahead at the next year, what is it you want to accomplish? What is it you want to do? What are you dealing with going into 2021? Or if you're listening to this later on, what is it you're trying to accomplish right now in the next few months? And what is your perspective about it? Can you shift that a little bit? So up till now, this has mainly been a challenge for your self-leadership and how you choose to see things. Let's make this a little bit now about your leadership with your team. The truth is that your perspectives have a trickle-down effect on your team. The way you see things influences the way your team sees things. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "The speed of the leader determines the rate of the pack." One of the things that leaders in my past have told me is that if you want, 100% effort from your team, you have to be performing at 120, 130, 140, 150% to get that 100%, because the team will rise with you, but they won't rise to the same level. A few outliers might, but generally they'll rise to a certain point, and that's kind of where you can expect them to fall. But the way your perspectives have a huge influence across your team. So be careful of your perspective as a leader and how it is impacting your team. The other aspect is learning how to use the tool of perspective in your leadership kit to engage and manage your team to another level. You can't force people to adopt a different viewpoint, and some people are very stuck in their ways. The old adage that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink is absolutely true. You can't force people to adopt a different viewpoint. If they're stuck in their way, if they can't see it any differently, don't abandon them, but don't waste your energy on people that don't want to change. The question is, can you engage their hearts and minds in such a way that they begin to see things differently and show up to work more completely? Like our example of earlier, you can either have a team of people who are just there to break rocks, or you can have people who are engaged, motivated, excited about the vision, taking pride in their work, doing everything they can to help the success of the business, and you can have a team of cathedral builders. So let me say it again. You can either have a team of rock breakers or a team of cathedral builders. Which team do you want to have? Thank you for listening today. I'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode and the power of perspective. You can email me at reshad@reshadoberlander.com or connect with me on social media. Please also share this episode with a friend who you think might enjoy it. I look forward to speaking with you again in 2021. In the meantime, stay awesome. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, would you head over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, leave me a rating, leave me a review, and share this with a friend. It spreads the word and helps the podcast grow. You can also find me on social media at R.E. Oberlander. Until next time, stay awesome.